Bill Keen and his wife Laurette live on an acreage just outside of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, where Bill has been creating unique metal sculptures for many years. He started out making mostly abstract items, but gradually developed an interest in natural themes and has since become well known for his trees.
I have to play with it a while till I can get the branches kind of working the way I want them to. And that's why steel is so easy to work with, because you can heat it and bend it and twist it, and it's just so much more malleable than other metals.
Bill's approach to welding his sculptures is all part of his plan to make the trees look natural.
My particular welds don't have to be that great. They don't have to look pretty. Matter of fact, I don't want them to look pretty. I want them to look like they have character, especially with the trees, and that's how I formed the bark and the look of a tree. It's all one process. With the torch, I can bend, burn it off. Here I'm going to burn another piece off. I don't need a cutting torch, I just burn it off like that. And you can see the tree is starting to take shape.
At this point, Bill pulls out his MIG welder to add the finer points, such as tapering branches. Once he's satisfied with the MIG welding, the next step will be to clean up the sculpture.
Grind it nice and, take all the rough spots off of it. And when I'm finished doing that, I spray it with an undercoat. And the next step will be to put the colors in, whatever colors we want.
Bill's wife Laurette has a good eye for color, so once Bill completes the sculpting work, she picks the best colors to finish off the piece.
To make it so that there feels like there's more depth, you just go through, maybe 3 or 4 different shades of colors and work from dark to light to make it look like there's a lot. There is a lot of depth there. The sculpturing makes the depth, but the coloring makes it stand out, I guess is a good way of saying it.
After the painting, the sculptures are sprayed with a clear acrylic to make sure they're sealed. That way, the colors should always stay the same even outside in the weather. Bill has sculpted a wide variety of trees over the years, including this mountain pine tree they saw while hiking in Arizona.
And it's growing right out of the rocks. It's beautiful, you wonder how it possibly could have grown right out of the rocks. But anyways, I took a picture of it and I brought it home and I sculptured it, and it turned out almost exactly like the tree itself, and as far as the shape is concerned.
Bill can work from a picture, but that's not always necessary. This conceptual sculpture was commissioned by a young couple.
They wanted something more rural looking, and so I put added a fence to it with a tree, and they were describing this farmyard, and where this lone tree stands, there's no more house there, and this is typical of what's happening to our countryside. A lot of the small farms are disappearing, and you'll see a fence, an old fence, and maybe a beautiful tree that was planted 30 or 40 years ago. And so this particular tree here, I think, aptly represents that.
Of course, 3-dimensional sculptures are usually more challenging than 2-dimensional wall hangings. He says a pine tree like this one usually grows in a rocky area.
And it's very rugged, as you can see. And what I'm trying to represent here is the beauty of its character. And I think, for an example, on the side here, you have a little one growing out of the side, and it gives the whole tree character. It's almost like the root started to form into a tree.
In some of his tree sculptures, Bill uses driftwood to make it look like the tree is growing out of a rock.
Put a rod at the bottom and with a thread on it, and I drill a hole a little smaller, and then I screw it, if I can, try and make it so I can screw it right into the rock or into the driftwood, and then I will put add some roots that as well on right at the bottom here, and then I glue it in there.
As was mentioned earlier, Bill really enjoys making sculptures with natural themes. And here on the prairies, what could be more natural than a field of wheat blowing in the wind?
Nowadays, you don't see as many wheat fields because we have all these specialty crops, but when you do see them and you have a beautiful bumper crop, you'll see the wheat flowing in you know, just like waves in the ocean, and when the wind is blowing.
Bill estimates that it takes him anywhere from 8 hours to upwards of 30 hours to complete a piece. Prices range from $125 to over $2,000, depending on the size and complexity of the project. But Bill says the most important thing is that both he and the customer feel good about the piece when it's completed.